Hey guys, it's been a while since I've posted any updates. My apologies for that. Crude has been kind of wild. I mean, this whole entire period has really just been good for catching these swings. And if you've been following me, you'll know that I've been barely shorting it. All I've been doing is catching these moves higher. That's really what I've been doing for several months now. And then uh, just recently, I started taking some of these short trades. And the most recent one, for those that are following along in ElliottWaveTrader.net, which, by the way, if you're interested in Elliott Wave, the place to be on planet Earth for Elliott Wave education as well as professional analysis is ElliottWaveTrader.net. It is the source, in my opinion. Uh, in any case, it's really tricky. I can't begin to, I mean, how does anybody know the future, right? So, and given the way that this is overlapping, it makes it really difficult. And, you know, I certainly notice that it's moving in threes a lot, which makes it difficult. But occasionally you can catch an impulse. And lately I've been more inspired to try downside. So the most recent trade I got was I did actually catch this move down fairly well. And so now I did have a good long entry here, but I got stopped out. So I'm looking to be short. And of course, whatever I do, I use stops. Now I'm just zooming in just so you know what I'm looking at. Oh, this chart got kind of messed up here. Oops, sorry. Let me just straighten this out real quick. I like to just give you sort of the view from the higher level first and then kind of zoom in. So, you know, one of the big questions all along has been, what degree are we in? And, you know, is this 4 really completed? Or, you know, is this 3-4 really, this black 3-4, is it really over here? And this whole structure is completed 5 up, and now we're going to get a move down into here for wave 2 and then continue the march higher? Or is 4 really completed already and we're in a very diagonal way going to go higher directly without having to come down and either complete this wave 4 maybe needs to be completed lower? I have no idea. How would I know that? I can't know that. Nobody knows that. But I'm just giving you context, right? So then if I zoom in a little bit more, you know, I've got some levels here, but it's just tricky business because it's so overlapping. So let's zoom in one more. So now we're really zoomed in here. And what this could be is, let me just show you for context. So this could be a 1, 2, and then now we're beginning another 1, 2 to the downside. It is also possible that if this comes back up and gets above 114.05, I mean, in and of itself, it doesn't mean that we're just going to go higher to these higher targets, but that would be the first, that would be really get my attention actually, if we get above 114.05. What I'm trading for is, I'm trading to the downside. So like I got short at 112.35 and I took it off somewhere down here. Somewhere down here I took it off for something like $6 and change. And then I actually went long here and it looked good at first, but then this came down and made a new nominal low, and then look at that reaction. So I was long here, but I missed that because I got stopped out. And then I wasn't on screen at 3 in the morning when this bottomed, or whatever that was, 2 in the morning. And then, yeah, I didn't have a good chance to get a good entry, so I just stay out. That's another thing I've learned. If I get a good entry where I like it in the structure, I'll take the shots. I'll take multiple shots. But if I don't get a good entry, I don't chase anymore. I don't do that. I just lay out and wait. So really all I would be doing here is trying to catch long just to see if I could catch a ride up into this zone. And well, it's already into the zone. It's already up into the zone. And so what I'm looking for is a chance to get short from somewhere a little higher. Does that mean that's going to happen? Of course not. But I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm doing. So, I already caught the short. I missed the bounce. So I'm just going to lay out. I have no trades. But if this comes up into here, and also I'll look a little bit more at this structure, because this could be a three-wave move. It's kind of silly to put these labels on there. Who cares? But just the way I think about it, if this is another three-wave move, let's just say this was another A, B, C, and nested inside of that three-wave move. I like to think of them as like Russian dolls. They're just one structure can be directly inside of another similar structure, and also price waves are fractal in nature. So, if this whole thing is an A, B, C, and then maybe the C wave is made up of an A, B, C as well. It could also be made up of a impulsive structure, but I don't know. Just looking at this wave structure, look how messy and overlapping this is. It's very difficult. So the other tactic that I like to use is just look at the measurement of this bounce. So, somewhere up in here would not be unusual for it to top out. And then if this really is a 1, 2 of nested inside of this 1, 2 to the downside. People that are familiar with the LA wave understand what I'm saying. 1, 2 to the downside. And then this is another 1, 2 possibly inside of that. So really, I don't want to see it come up too much above here. And by the way, this is a log chart. So 100, could it poke above here? Of course it could. Yeah. Could it poke all the way above 112.39 and still retain the downside setup? Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. But in my mind, just what I'm, watching for is to see if this can come up into here and then start looking like it wants to roll over. And then I'll look at some technicals. And the technicals I like to look at are strat. And that's really how I take my entries, is on the 5-minute or sometimes the 15-minute strat. And then I look to see if there's a squeeze. So, what I would guess, this squeeze would fire to the upside. That's just my guess. On the open Sunday night futures open, I would guess that this is, it can have some volatility. On a 5-minute chart. It could have some gyrations, but I would expect the 5-minute squeeze to fire to the upside. And because that's what I think is going to happen, is that this can get a little higher. It doesn't mean it's not going to come down first. It's just that, in my experience, this is based on where this is at in the overall structure, that this could get a little higher. And then there is a little bit of a setup for that. It could squeeze along a little more, print a couple more dots on the 15-minute chart, and that would bolster the case, I think, for this just to come up. And then if you look at the 4-hour chart, you see how the histogram's already coming up, price is coming up. 1-hour chart, look at the histogram, price is coming up. So just take the price at face value and say, yeah, maybe it's just going to keep coming higher. Do I have a lot of conviction about that? Well, not particularly. Where I had conviction was when it was down here. And that's when I went long over here, because I had conviction that it should bounce. I missed this low just because I did. And then in the afternoon, I took a shot here, but then it got stopped out overnight. So do I have a lot of conviction here? Would I be trying to enter a long trade here? I'm not. But if I were, I would just use strat over here on the 5-minute and pick a spot. I don't know. It could come back a little bit more again. But at some point, there may be a long entry in here, but I'm just not trading for that. And then looking at the daily, I like to look at the daily strat. So just as an example, the daily strat, I'm never taking an entry off the daily. But this is kind of showing you pressure is down, because look at the histogram. Even though, you can get a bounce, this could absolutely come back up into this area. It could, sure. It could just poke up, pop up. And really, you can really see the structure clearly here. If this is a 1, 2 to the downside. And then we already have another 1, and then maybe now it's working on the second 2. And then it'll keep coming. I mean, the momentum is down. This little volume graph that I've been kind of playing around with is showing you that the volume is kind of waning a little bit and backing off. Yeah, the pressure is down. So looking at the daily, I would say the pressure is down. But looking at the real nano stuff, I think there's a chance for it to go higher. And looking at the structure in terms of LA wave, I think that this can come up higher. So I will be, with any luck, looking to get short. Why? Well, because if this really is a 1, 2 to the downside, and if this is another 1, 2 to the downside, the targets are pretty amazing. I mean, if you can get a nice entry, if I can get a nice entry somewhere up in here, then and if it starts to prove that it wants to come down, I view this as a kind of a significant area, this pivot area. Sometimes I like to drag these over just to see how, price. Look at that. Isn't it interesting? Price kind of can interact with these levels. Look at that. I mean, it interacted with the bottom of this pivot level perfectly over here, perfectly again there. Then it's crisscrossing it, which is what the price has been doing for months. It's crisscrossing everything. It's overlapping itself. But at times, you see that it still holds that level. So to me, I like to do that because it just lets me know price has memory, and it just gives you a broader context when you're looking at a level like that. So, if I can get a short entry somewhere up in here and then watch this thing come down, I would expect it to get some kind of, resistance to the downside in here. But man, if it gets through here and starts, have a couple of days or a couple moments where you can see how you get a nasty drop like this, see the way that candle looks, or even these 2 candles right here. These are 4-hour charts, so like 8 hours of total downside. At some point over here, I would expect to see the same. And then if any bounce can get held by this pivot zone, that will give me credence to just keep my stop above. I keep really wide stops when I'm swing trading. Anyway, but ultimately, could price come all the way down to here? Yeah, sure could. But also, there's targets in both directions, and this is so crazy and overlapping, it's very difficult to say. But anyway, that's what I got, and that's my plan. My plan is to short after it gets a little higher. And also, I could totally be wrong. Maybe I'm just dead wrong, and this is some other kind of, maybe this is another setup to the upside. But I don't think so. Okay, cool. Happy 4th of July weekend. See ya.